Welcome back to the O Show. Guys, today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. You know that I don't really have too many guests on the show anymore because this industry is kind of boring for the most part, and I can't talk about the things I want to talk about without being a little bit edgy, sometimes too edgy. But I am a shock jock, and today we are blessed with Taylor. She is a really, really great journalist. She's the host of Talk to Me, Taylor. And the cool thing about it is she comes from the entertainment industry. And as most of you guys know, I'm born and raised in LA. I've had my fair share of running around Hollywood, and I'm just happy to have Taylor come on and talk about crypto just a little bit, especially from the opinion or from the standpoint of somebody that's not necessarily a crypto native, but is kind of just getting into it. We're going to address some of the hot topics that we see. But Taylor, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Wendy. You are a hype girl. I feel like I need to go like ditch the boots, ditch the Barbie shirt, go run a marathon. I'm like, Olympics that already passed. Here I come.
That's
You're just
ADHD.
hype me up. I'm like, let's go.
That's ADHD. That's ADHD. But guys,
I
make
love
sure
it.
you are subscribed. If you're not, you need to be.
Yes.
Smash the like, drop a comment on this conversation. Did you like it or not? If any say anything nasty, I'll remove it because I don't have time for that. But Taylor, I want to really kind of get to know you a little bit because you have been very, very successful in your career as a journalist and interviewing people and talking to people. You've got the show, Talk to Me, Taylor, but kind of just give us like a brief history of yourself. And then I want to talk about like media and crypto and
Yeah.
just your thoughts on crypto in the mainstream. And maybe we'll talk about the election a little bit too.
Let's do it. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited already. This made my year. Let's go. Yes. So I actually have an extensive background in red carpet and Hollywood reporting. So Wendy,
No Diddy, right?
no Diddy.
I'm just kidding.
No Diddy, but I did sit on J-Lo's lap like once or twice, basically
Okay.
braided her. I've interviewed everybody you could ever think of, right? And an underlying sort of theme of my work, I've been a little bit of a ball buster in Hollywood and media in free thinking and don't tell me what to do, how to do things, what to say, and think, obviously. So I was on the red carpet working for big outlets at the Grammys, Oscars, you name it. And I hated the fakeness of what are you wearing, the glossy, the contrived. So what did I do? I went out on red carpets. I created my own platform, Talk to Me, Taylor, with a selfie stick and got the biggest A-listers to just open up, be human, be real, and go deeper. So really reinvented the way that interviews were done. And in the process, I was really sort of sticking up for what I believe that maybe pushed up against mainstream narratives. I've written big op-eds. I actually am the only woman in Playboy who both posed and was featured as a contributing writer in the same issue in a feature all about free expression. So Playboy, yes. So you could tell it is my thing. Playboy actually called me the celebrity whisperer for, my career and what I'd done. And so my show, Talk to Me, Taylor, is really sort of an extension of that. I get really big influential thought leaders, be it, A-listers to journalists like Matt Taibbi, to scientists like Dr. Robert Malone, people in your space, the Robert Breedloves, to come on and help us make sense of this world. It's super, the show's irreverent, again, very outside of the box and politically incorrect, if you will. So that's kind of in a nutshell, but you can see how, crypto and that freedom, definitely I'm starting to dance that dance. So
Well, you fit right in with us because we are very much like crypto. Like anybody who's always had an interest in crypto has always not wanted to be told what to do or be able to live life on their terms. And it sounds like your
yes.
career and success with your career has embodied that. It was a little bit of a different flair on the traditional entertainment industry because again, when you work in traditional entertainment, you were kind of told what to do, what to say,
Always.
what to wear. And
Always.
what's really cool about 2024 is we're starting to see a shift that we
Yeah.
didn't see before. Like, could you imagine doing what you do maybe 20 years ago? Would you think that they would allow it? Like,
What's so funny, Wendy, is I grapple with this often because, and similarly to, purist with some of the OG, those in crypto, right? Kind of going up against the man. I've gone up against the man, and the powers that be and the institutions and establishments in my own way. And it's funny you talk about that 20 years ago, because I always think, Wendy, I'm like, ugh, and I'm not trying to be a ball buster. I just honestly say what I think, right?
Right.
And I
Well,
say
you're
what other people are
Italian
thinking.
Sicilian,
Yes,
paisana.
girl. I was gonna say, yes, leave it to us. You know how we roll. And I often think, man, how awesome would it have been and easier? How much easier would it have been to come up with wherever, when it was the Wild West, anything went, Wendy Williams show, Howard Stern, like you could say whatever. And I have to say, and even like the parallel to crypto and the evolution and what's happening right now, I often think it had to happen now because people are at a breaking point and they are so fed up. They are so fed up with the powers that be dictating how to live their lives. So, while maybe it would have, it could fly back then, I'm also grateful that now it's the time. You
Yeah.
see it. People are so fed up, you
Yeah,
know.
and I feel like too, like, because I get a lot of crap for like being a TikToker, in crypto, because I do like I love to do the short videos and talk like do like the basic education stuff, but I feel like with this whole this world now that we have social media and we have platforms like TikTok, even though they're centralized. Yes, I understand, guys. We don't like centralization, but at the same time, we kind of are taking baby steps to get to like a real decentralized social media platform. Like Library, y'all
Oh,
remember what happened with Library and the SEC, but I feel like we're at a place to where like we get to create our own content. We're so lucky. We don't have to sign with agencies if we don't want to. We get to build our own brands and really voice our opinions. And you've really been like front and center of that. Before it was kind of cool, like freedom of
you know,
speech.
absolutely. And I'll say to that, first of all, I appreciate how, I don't mean to be the Grim Reaper in this way, gloom and doom. I appreciate how optimistic you are about that. And yes, technically content creation, it being in our own hands. And I've seen many iterations of it, right? Even
Mhm.
op-eds I've written that were, whether it be editors trying to change my words and make the narrative more PC or more mainstream, you know how it is, or fit what they want, and or pieces being rejected. Or sometimes, Wendy, I've literally had pieces, I wrote a lot about Me Too hypocrisy. I was on the red
Mhm.
carpet when all of that happened, literally on that carpet with the black gowns. I've had outlets like the Atlantic literally say to me, basically, Taylor, obviously this piece is great, but we can't run this, right? And luckily I had some breakthrough. I wrote a piece for, USA Today about my personal Chrissy Teigen cancel culture story, which I'm happy to tell if you think your audience would like it. I wrote one, for Huffington Post about Me Too hypocrisy, one for Playboy about an interaction I had with Morgan Freeman where I actually had his back in what people thought was a Me Too thing in my interaction with him. So I did have these things break through and it felt really fulfilling. But even now, I have to tell you, it still continues to be an uphill battle. I mean, every other thing is taken down, can't be monetized,
Yeah.
can't be shared with people. It's social issues, quote, or election issues. I've been shadow banned on Instagram for posting a photo available on mainstream media of Hunter Biden in his tidy whities a year ago. That's nowhere to be seen. So, unfortunately, those gatekeepers is just arbitrarily getting in our way. And so I'm really hopeful with blockchain and more technology that we will have that total control over our own content, because right now this ain't it. Whether it be the apps, the algorithms, or real life editors, it comes at us from all sides.
Yeah, and like I'm so grateful that I'm independent. Like I'll work with companies, but I'm very like I will not be told what to say. And if I make a mistake, happy to apologize, happy to admit I'm wrong. But I think it's very important for people of all different walks of life to be able to say what they want to say. And that's part
Yeah.
of operating in a true decentralized economy. That's what Bitcoin embodies. Just because you don't like what somebody has to say or their opinion doesn't give you the right to tell them that they can't say it. And that's important. Freedom of expression, being able to speak. And the large social media platforms, they're a bit worrisome. But at the same time, I just like, and I kind of feel the same way you do. Like, and I'm hoping that blockchain gets it together and we can actually get a social media app that may that that doesn't get targeted by the SEC or is run in a very true manner. Because what we have right now
Yeah.
is not it. But at the same time, it's like there's things that need to be put out there for people to hear, regard, like especially with the whole Me Too thing. Like that kind of must have been scary at some point,
Oh
because you
yeah.
have all these people in power that if they
Yes.
don't like what you have to say, then they will literally cancel you. And the Me Too thing,
Yes.
too, like it was primarily about women, but those things still happen to men too. And that's another issue we have in society, is these things happen to people, survivors aren't believed, and it's like it's just a
Mhm.
mess.
It is just it's a mess. It's a mess. And I'll also say on the, you know, diving into to your point exactly where it's become more of a mess. I brought up my Morgan Freeman story, for example. It was my fresh days in LA, and I was wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and the whole thing. And I'm sitting next to Morgan Freeman in a round table of journalists. And I'm wearing these Abercrombie ripped up jeans, right? You know the ones, iconic. And he sits right next to me, sure enough, looking at them like almost like your grandpa would. Like
Yeah.
not at all in a creepy or inappropriate way. Like, so what's happening there? Like some of your pants are missing. We had a really fun jest. I got some of it on camera. And he's like, wear them, baby. And we high five. And it turned into a Me Too story. Like a year later, an outlet picked it up and said, Morgan Freeman objectifies female reporter. And I actually wrote, this, first of all, like I was completely autonomous, loved the interaction. You all can't dictate. Nobody can say I'm any Me Too, whatever, but me, number one.
Yeah.
Number two is throwing these things around doesn't do any service to real victims and survivors. Like I've interviewed R. Kelly survivors, and it doesn't do any service to them, because then we want to believe, we want to always believe them. And now it's like second guessing if it's stuff like this. And, just really quickly, I'll say one of the piece I was talking about with the Atlantic that got rejected is a couple years later. I wrote a piece about Dave Portnoy, same thing, saying, we need to be careful throwing these people under the bus, because people are going to start questioning victims more and more, which we
Yeah.
don't want. It doesn't help them. And I ended up having it worked out, because the Atlantic, all these big sites turned it down, because obviously it's not in their narrative, right? Their narrative is like all men are bad. But it actually worked out in my favor, because Dave Portnoy came on my show and talked about it. But,
Nice.
it just goes to show like all the narratives and how they'll manipulate them in a way that honestly isn't beneficial to the people who need help. Like
Yeah, and
it's crazy.
I mean, before I talk about like the decentralization of media, Dave Portnoy, we know we call him like lettuce hands because he's always like dumping his positions. He's like Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, whatever. But I do love
So
Dave.
true.
I do love Dave because he's got Miss Peaches, and Miss Peaches is adorable, like cutest ever. And that so it's not even Dave anymore. It's Miss Peaches' dad. But kind of back to
Too
you,
funny.
like your struggle, like. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that you had to go through those things where some media outlets wouldn't publish you. But at the same time, it's kind of a blessing. And I don't want to speak for you, but would you say it's maybe a blessing in disguise that you experienced that and then you kind of found Bitcoin and crypto so that you're like, okay, there's hope. I have an online presence. I have a following. I can go post this article, like make it an NFT, put it on the blockchain. So it's there forever. No one can take it down. Like, talk to us about that kind of idea, really.
Oh my God, Wendy, you are just speaking to my soul. Like, and it may to your listeners, it may be like, wait, like, what is the tie between something like entertainment journalism and media and crypto? But transparency is the name of the game. So a huge, and yes, I'm absolutely grateful for all this whole journey. Even at the time, if I was like, my career's over and I'm going to go work at a Pizza Hut and that's the end of that forever, like, okay. But a huge story so indicative of that is the one I was kind of teasing at, but my Chrissy Teigen story, right?
Mhm.
So when I was a fresh young writer at VH1, I wrote an opinion piece calling her out for cyberbullying and saying it was, hypocritical, because she was saying she was being bullied and really just, in my opinion, bullying, a lot of people. So you talk about blockchain and transparency, right? And this is the kind of stuff that whether it be banks, whether it be media institutions, the things that they do to manipulate and keep things in the shadows, right? So at the time, Chrissy Teigen caught wind of it. She obviously didn't like it. So she was tweeting at me personally at VH1, going down a whole tirade, allegedly called VH1 to have me fired. And I was essentially made the scapegoat. Now, the reason I bring up transparency is because I have all, and I did at the time, had all of the receipts and DMs of my editor approving it, being like, use this headline, absolutely. And I was made the scapegoat and I was put on suspension. And out of principle, because very much like you, I hold true to my beliefs. Don't tell
Mm-hmm.
me, what and what not to do. I quit. And so that really launched my entire red carpet reporting career. It was the very beginning of my career. The crazy thing, Wendy, is cut to a few years later, her cyberbullying scandal ends up coming to light. So I wrote an op-ed in USA Today saying, A, I basically told you all. So B, I was at the brunt of it, but C, this perpetual cancel culture, eye for an eye doesn't solve anything. Like, I don't even think she should be reprimanded. She should take it and learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this toxic cyclical thing, right? So, again, had all of that been out of the shadows, I can't even imagine how differently that whole thing would have been. People at the time, it was a little cancel culture before its time and ahead of its time. I remember
Mm-hmm.
people telling me, like, advising, just keep your head down, take your tweets down, don't say anything. And, imagine in a fully flourished blockchain world, how different that would have been, right? Like, where everything is trackable and transparent and out in the open. Like, so
Yeah.
different.
I mean, so and that it's always so interesting to me because like I've heard of so many people getting censored and being told what to do in the entertainment industry. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just wild. And I couldn't imagine what you went through, like, because your editor gave you the green light. Like you had
Literally.
somebody above you at the time that was like, this is okay. And then they didn't have your back. And
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
why I'm so empowered by social media and by crypto in general, is because I do think in crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin, that whole thing, we're going to continue to find solutions and eventually one is going to stick. And like, I'm very thankful for X, like for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about my
Definitely.
account getting banned, even though it's still shadow banned because it's a crypto account, whatever. But at the same time, it's like hopeful, and I feel like it brings hope to people
Yeah.
like you, like real entertainers, people like you that are like musicians or whoever. Like all you really need is a following. You can upload this stuff on the internet, so
Yeah.
it's there forever.
100%, Wendy. And I don't know how you and your audience feels about this man, but for this reason, I love Elon Musk. Like, I will be his fan club groupie, ride or die. And, I really think he gets a lot of crap for trying to grift off, have his hands and everything. But I really do think that he saw a big problem with the way, the digital public sphere and, the way that we communicate, and really kind of, made it, and he's definitely principled in it. I'll say that, and has made it more of a, you know, free communicating space in that way. So I will definitely give props. It seems like X right now in terms of anything mainstream is definitely the most, let's be honest, like least regulated, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, I will say, because I don't trust people, especially people that come from wealth, but I will say Elon Musk is using his ego in a good way. And you've
yes.
experienced people using their egos in bad ways, I'm sure, because
Yeah.
you were kind of in the center of it.
Yeah. I have so many stories. Yeah, it's true. It's true. And so, time will tell. We'll see. And also, Wendy, this is something I explored on my show recently, but what does it say that especially in crypto, right? Because I've followed this again, while I'm not an expert, but like you said, I'm definitely getting my feet,
You don't have to be an expert. This
wet.
is the thing. There's no experts in crypto. And the reason
Yeah.
why there's no experts in crypto is
Yeah.
because it's like under 20 years old, okay?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
still a teenager, and teenagers are very, they're pimply, there's hormones, there's
It's just getting
stinky
its
emotions.
license.
It's just she's
It's
just Bitcoin is just getting her footing. And
She's just getting her braces off. I
but the
know.
thing is the fact that you understand how important this is. Crypto is
Absolutely.
for liberty and for people to be people that were censored, for the voiceless to have a voice.
Yeah.
You're doing just fine.
Well, you know what I was going to say is, what does it say that you have such an unlikely band of people coming together with Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, that
Mhm.
have all been pro crypto? And again, like the most unlikely coalesce force. What does that in and of itself say? Right. And I do think that there's something really hopeful in that, because it's human nature to want to control and have power. And while these people definitely do have power, both individually and as an entity, I do think that that's really interesting. It's like, okay, they're all super pro crypto. They all have totally different political backgrounds, and yet they're all like banding, coming together. What does that say?
Yeah, no, to me it's very interesting because like the craziest thing about it is that we're so divisive in this country. And when I talk about being divisive, it's like you have these people that are claim that they're for equality for everyone. And that's what crypto does. Like crypto, there are no barriers to entry. Like anybody could
Yeah,
buy Bitcoin, anybody can participate. And it's all about self-education. And don't you want to inspire future generations and your kids
exactly.
and your communities to
Yeah.
thrive? And whatever it is they want to do, whether they want to be a talk show host or a columnist or just
Yeah.
maybe a customer service rep, it doesn't matter. But crypto can provide solutions to things if we allow it to.
Yeah. And I've obviously, I've explored this, Wendy, since I started my career. And I think with crypto, and we talked on my show about it becoming more mainstream. And the sad truth is, with anything, with bot, with technology, with money, with so many things, culturally, people are so afraid of what they don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And like that's, I think, is a huge thing that we see in crypto. Like you and I joked on my show about how even, really free thinking, balanced journalists will make crypto the punchline. And people just, haven't wrapped their heads or arms around it yet. And I think it freaks them out. And when you have powers that be that maybe have ill intent, because it freaks them out, they want to try to control it, in a way, just like when I was doing my thing on the red carpet, the publicist, the entourage, the manager, the event, the this, the that, they're like, wait, what is this? This is unfamiliar. This isn't what we know, and try to control it. It's in everything. But
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that and understand and I'm just trying to be hopeful for the future. Like I have an 8-year-old daughter. Like part of the reason why I continue to do what I do is because I want to be able to provide her a better quality of life. And I'm hoping that, crypto is able to do that and we're able to continue to build. But before we get going, what
yeah.
is one thing that you want to do in the future when it comes to either Bitcoin or crypto or just blockchain without a token or anything? What is one thing that you would either like to do with that with your career or where you see this industry moving forward in regards to
Yeah.
allowing people to express themselves?
Yes. So I had two separate answers, and I see that they sort of are one and the same. But a big dream and goal of mine is to be on the forefront of something that, ahead of the curve, whether it be, an interface or a platform that ends up being huge, and seeing it ahead of its time. And again, really being ahead of the curve in that way. And obviously, as it pertains to my work and what I do, is, as you said, you nailed it, is in content creation.
Mhm.
So I'm already kind of, getting feelers out of different up and coming content distribution platforms on, via, blockchain, because I really do, I have a big goal and dream to almost, in human speak, the way I relay it is like the YouTube of blockchain, right? Like again, like those YouTubers who were ahead of their time and then got massive, and almost like the Paul brothers, right? And became the faces of
Mhm.
YouTube. That would be a huge goal and accomplishment of mine, but in this, Web3 space for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I feel the same way too. I'm very excited to
Yes.
see where the future goes and I hope that we can continue to create really dope products that allow people to voice their opinions and not
Yeah.
be scared because it's
Yeah.
another big problem in the world. Crypto and
Yeah.
blockchain and Bitcoin it's here to fix problems and I want to see everybody thrive and do well and enjoy their best life.
Exactly. And with that, before we hop, I will say I love how the crypto community on the whole is super, like, doesn't take itself too
Oh
seriously. And that's why I
no.
feel right at home with you guys, because, as you said, it's like very politically incorrect and irreverent. And again, I think it's that sort of like chip on our shoulder for being controlled for so long, right? It's sort of like enough. And I really respect and appreciate that. And like I said, feel at home in
Yeah,
that
no, we're
way that we
happy to.
speak the same language.
You are one of us. One of
Honorary
us.
crypto girl.
One
Yeah.
of us. All right, good.
One of us.
You guys,
Thank you so much, Wendy.
thank
I
you
so
for coming
appreciate
on.
it.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. I'm going to have Taylor's links below. Make sure to listen to her stuff. It's actually really cool. Keep an open mind. Always get information from different sites. And as always, thank you guys so much for supporting me, the channel, and everything else. And Taylor, thank you for your time. And we're going to have to go do something fun in LA with Music Man one day because that's my get down.
Say when, Wendy, and I'm there. Let's go. LA will never be the same.
Oh,
I'll say that.
God.
That'd be really fun though.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendy.